I was about to say I do until a stranger stood up, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "You already did. Just not in this lifetime. Everyone always tells you that your wedding day is meant to be the happiest day of your life. But no one warns you what to do when a stranger crashes it with a story so haunting, so impossible that it shatters everything you thought was real." It was late spring in the Surrey countryside, golden light spilling over the manor gardens as I adjusted my veil in the dressing room mirror, heart pounding not from nerves, but from pure joy. I was marrying Oliver, my best friend since university, my partner in every sense, kind, stable, grounded. Our families adored him, and my dying grandmother had insisted she lived just long enough to see this moment. Everything was perfect until the ceremony began. As I walked down the aisle lined with white roses and string quartet music, I noticed a man standing at the back. He was tall, dark-haired, wearing a long gray coat despite the warm weather. I didn't recognize him, but he didn't look out of place, just watchful. I dismissed it. We said our vows under the wisteria-covered arch, my voice trembling with emotion. But the moment the vicar asked if anyone objected, the man stepped forward. "I do," he said calmly, and silence fell like thunder. I froze, turning to look. At him, my father moved to intervene, but the man raised his hand gently. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said. "I just need to speak with her, alone, please." Oliver looked at me, searching my face for guidance. I nodded. Something in the man's voice had rooted me to the ground. We stepped into the manor library. I asked him who he was. His name was Elias, and then slowly he told me the story of U.S. not me and Oliver, but me and him, in a life he claimed we'd lived together over 100 years ago. A love that ended in betrayal, a fire that took both our lives, a promise he said I made to find him again. "You wore the same necklace then?" he said, pointing at the antique locket around my neck, a piece I'd found in a vintage market in Whitby. Drawn to it instantly without knowing why, I laughed at first, accused him of being delusional, but then he described the scar behind my right ear, a detail I'd never shared with anyone, not even Oliver. He told me about the lullaby I hummed in my sleep, one my mother swore she never taught me. He even recited lines from a letter I found in the back of my grandmother's jewelry box, unsigned, about a love that defies time. My stomach twisted. I asked how he knew all this. He said he'd spent years piecing together fragments. From dreams, from visions, from a therapist who believed in past life regression. He said he never meant to find me again, but when he saw my engagement announcement in a wedding magazine, he knew. "Your soul," he said, "has been calling to mind for lifetimes." I couldn't breathe. I returned to the ceremony shaken. I looked at Oliver and saw safety, love, but also something else. Comfort, not fire. I told everyone I needed. A moment alone. I ran into the woods behind the manor, where the sunlight flickered through the trees like it did in a recurring dream I've had since. I was 6, the one where I die in someone's arms, whispering, "I'll find you." That day, in those woods, Elias followed. We didn't kiss. We didn't speak. We just stood there, and something ancient moved between us, like the air recognized our skin. But I still married Oliver, because love in this life, this reality, mattered too. And yet, I never stopped thinking of Elias. Months passed. One night, I woke from a dream, crying, gasping, remembering a lighthouse, a storm, a promise shouted over waves. I called Elias. I met him again. And we walked the streets of Edinburgh, retracing the places he swore we once lived. I still have the photograph he showed me, black and white. 2 people who look like us in 1891, names burned off the bottom, standing outside a bookshop that doesn't exist anymore. I never told Oliver, but I know now, sometimes the heart belongs to 2 places at once. Sometimes the past doesn't stay buried, and sometimes the person you're meant to be with isn't the one holding your hand at the altar, but the one whose soul already knew yours before you ever said hello.